Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Saints cut their roster from 90 to 85 earlier this week. A couple of more transactions as well here as they picked up a couple of free agents. On Tuesday evening, we learned that the Saints signed receiver Kevin White. Gave you a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction to that, but I wanted to go a little deeper. They've also added a defensive back in Brian Mills, and then there are also reports, I believe Nick Underhill had it first, that former Saint draft pick Natrell Jamerson is back with the club. I'm going to start with Kevin White, who was part of a group of receivers that worked out for New Orleans on Tuesday. He did get a contract signed, and he was practicing with New Orleans today, and then met with the media afterwards. You'll hear from Kevin White in just a second, but I have gotten this question a bit, which was, because they signed Kevin White, does that mean the injury to Traquan Smith is more severe than they're letting on? No. Traquan Smith actually was back at practice today for New Orleans, but just do the numbers with me here. Typically, the Saints keep 5 receivers on the active roster. There's been times when they kept 6 if that 6th receiver was actually like a special teams player. Courtney Roby's probably the best example of that, if you remember. Courtney Roby, who he returned kicks and punts, was the gunner on the punt team as well, covered kicks. I mean, he was a special teams ace, but he was the 6th receiver, but he was really on the team as a special teamer, if that makes sense. But you're going to keep 5 receivers. Michael Thomas is on IR, so he's not going to count against your initial 53. If I told you, name me the 5 locks that the Saints have to make this team right now, what would you say? Traquan Smith, Deontay Harris, Marquez Callaway. Anybody beyond that a lock to make this team? Is Chris Hogan a lock to make the team? Is Tommy Lee Lewis a lock to make the team? Is Lil Jordan Humphrey, Kawan Baker, are those guys locks to make the team? No, not at all. Not even close. I mean, it is rare that you go into camp like this and you actually have these roster spots available at receiver. Maybe the 5th receiver or a special teamer. But there's 2 or 3 spots there for receivers. So they're looking for guys that can play. Kevin White is fascinating because this is a guy who, and I watch as much college NFL as probably anybody. I mean, it's like literally my job to watch it and talk about it here. Somewhere along the way, Kevin White fell into a black hole in my brain where I just don't remember him playing at West Virginia. But that dude was the 7th overall pick in the draft in 2015. Caught passes from Clint Trickett up in Morgantown, had a blow-up season, played 2 seasons there in West Virginia after starting at JUCO. Blew up, was the 7th overall pick, came in the same draft as Amari Cooper. Before his rookie season, he has a stress fracture in his shin, has to have a steel rod put in his leg. Misses his whole rookie year. Plays 4 games in his second season, a different injury to the same leg, misses the rest of the year. 3rd season, first game, fractures his shoulder blade, misses the rest of the season. At this point, Kevin White has played in a total, the former 7th overall pick, has played in a total of 17 career games. I mean, his rookie deal as a first-round draft pick was $15 million. So, and that's all guaranteed as a first-round draft pick. So, dude has made some money, but it was so interesting listening to Kevin White today. And he was asked how his outlook on football has changed. Listen to this answer, because this is the thing. It's number 6, Musso. This is the thing that is probably going to make everybody listening right now pull for this guy.
I never played this game for just money. It's not just a money thing for me. If it was a money thing, I would have been retired and quit and done other things that was able to make me a lot of income. But it's just something that I love to do. And like I said earlier, I don't think I would be able to live with myself knowing I have a lot of potential and just giving it up. Like I don't ever want to look back and say, man, I should have just tried one time. Man, I wish I would have put more work in. So I'm going for it until they kick me out this league.
I'm going for it until they kick me out this league. I love it. I love it. I'll remind you also that Kevin White is 6'3", right around 220. And at the combine, he ran a 4.35 40. How you doing? 6'3", 220, ran a 4.35. 2 years ago at the combine, you know who they were comparing to Kevin White? DK Metcalf. They looked at DK Metcalf's combine and said, that's similar athletically to Kevin White. Now, clearly DK Metcalf is a freak show and has had an amazing start to his career, and Kevin White has just been befallen by injuries. But athletically, physically, there's no question what he's got. As a matter of fact, when Kevin White was meeting with the media today, he even talked about the expectations having been a seventh-round pick and not living up to them.
Very frustrating. Just because I feel like I put the work in, I had the right mindset, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't plan out. But can't hang my head. Sometimes I ask why, but just got to keep going, and until the time comes, I'll go hard and do what I'm capable of.
So he's got an opportunity right now. I mean, the measurables are intoxicating. But I'm also a realist, and I understand why he's been cut the places that he's been. It's also interesting to hear him talk about what he can bring to New Orleans specifically.
Speed, big body, knowledge of the game, obviously. Been a lot of sitting and watching, so I try to pick up on little things. But it's my presence, I guess.
He's a guy that said he just needs a chance. The Saints have afforded him that opportunity here. And the more I look at it, I just go, man, I don't need, the comp that I was thinking of earlier today. It was Nick Fairley. And, and maybe this is what the Saints, and they've kind of gone down this rabbit hole several times since they had Nick Fairley in New Orleans. But Fairley was a first-round pick, as you all remember, of the Detroit Lions. And be it injury or circumstance, there with Ndamukong Suh, it never really worked out for him in Detroit. Spent one season in St. Louis where he was there with Aaron Donald and again got caught sort of in a rotation. Michael Brockers was a first-round pick there as well. And you look up and here's this guy that had been in the league for 5 years and hadn't done much of anything, despite all of the expectations when Fairley came into the league. And he comes to New Orleans and he starts all 16 games and he has his best season ever. 43 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 22 quarterback hits. I mean, it was an incredible year for Fairley. He finally, with the right opportunity, lived up to the potential that made him a high first-round pick. And the Saints have gone after guys like this in the years since. And Kevin White's just the latest in that number. And with a guy, what's the other thing we talk about with Sean Payton all the time? I'm not sitting here trying to be Pollyanna. I'm not sitting here telling you Kevin White's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver or anything. But can he make this team? I think it would be a great story if he could make the team and contribute. But what's the other thing we talk about with Sean Payton all the time? What does Sean Payton look for? What does he value? Culture, locker room guys that are bought in. I mean, you got a guy that was the 7th overall pick, has had a ton of bad fortune, has made his money, but still, can you play 7? Like, he still has a chip on his shoulder.
I'm always going to have something to prove. That's my why. Whether it's getting better off the release, whether it's running full speed every time, whether it's attacking the ball, any and everything. I'm going to critique myself really hard and just get better and just remind myself of why I'm doing this. My career haven't planned out the way I planned it to be, but as a part of the journey, it's going to make the story a lot better.
Part of the journey that's going to make the story a lot better. Got to love his attitude, his approach, his perspective. See how he can do here with a couple of preseason games remaining. Saints also signed rookie cornerback Brian Mills. He was undrafted out of North Carolina Central. Long, rangy corner, 6'1". He's thin, though, only about 180 pounds. As an undrafted free agent, got signed by Seattle. Seattle let him go. The Saints have brought him in. But for everyone who keeps saying, the Saints are going to address cornerback with wait for roster cuts, this is the problem, right? If you think you're going to find a starting cornerback among roster cuts, you're not. You're going to find dudes struggling to make a roster when you search among the roster cuts. Look, unless if you have a complete outlier like the Antonio Brown situation with the Raiders because he's a total head case and an all-pro caliber player is on the open market, that doesn't seem likely. You're going to end up more likely with Brian Poole and Prince Amukamara and Brian Mills. I think the best case scenario for Brian Mills, play really well, stick on the practice squad, and see if you have a chance. But if you want a starter at corner, if you're New Orleans, you want a starting cornerback, you got to trade for one. Otherwise, you better hope Paulson Adebo is ready to be your guy. You just cross your fingers on Marshawn Lattimore because, look, it's been 5 months, y'all. He was arrested March 26th. It's been 5 months since Lattimore's arrest, and we still don't have any word on punishment. And I read the rule today. It is within the commissioner's right, because this was a non-violent act with Lattimore, that he could fine him, he could suspend him, or a combination of both. Because it's a non-violent act, maybe Marshawn Lattimore gets away with a fine for this. And, of course, the player's record as well comes into factor. Because he had never been in trouble and this was non-violent, maybe they get away with just a fine. But then again, it's Roger Goodell, and he'll probably take whatever opportunity he can to stick it to the Saints because that's what Roger Goodell do. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.